Guess who's back again. If you had to title this season of your life, what would you title it?
I'd call it 180 degrees.
Wow, okay, because it's hot.
No.
Oh, you're talking about direction.
Direction. Yeah, the film is 180 degrees.
Has the 30s been thriving for you?
Yeah. I was going through the process of being transformed. A lot of my 20s was a sense of wanting to be justified and validated. And now that I've come into my 30s, I have partnership with the Holy Spirit. And because of that, I can't lose.
Do you feel like you've played small or downplayed yourself when it comes to life?
It's a crippling and a debilitating fear. You're an image bearer. And if you're a creator, created in the image of the greatest creator, you can only make great things. But the fear of what that great thing is and what it will cost you can sometimes be the crippling thing.
Every rom-com has that moment where the heroine is forced to face herself. The moment where she realizes that the problem isn't the guy, it isn't the job, it isn't the makeover, but it's what she believes about herself. For instance, take Georgia Bird in The Last Holiday. She spends years playing small and waiting for the right moment to live boldly, only for life to force her to realize that she can't afford to postpone her joy any longer. Or Kat Stratford in 10 Things I Hate About You. Her God protects her from rejection, but it also keeps her from connection. And her turning point is when she risks vulnerability. And Josie Giller in Never Been Kissed. Her happy ending doesn't come when the guy shows up, but it comes when she finally decides that she's worthy of taking up space and to finally stop hiding. Their worlds didn't change overnight magically. Their story shifted because they did. And it's the same thing in real life. You can't fully become the main character of your life without doing the inner work first, which is why I wanted to start off this series by looking at mindset, or maybe better yet, heart set, because at the end of the day, you can't really take center stage in your life if you're mentally, spiritually, and emotionally empty. You need something to ground you. For Georgia, it was choosing joy. For Kat, it was learning to be open. For Josie, it was daring to be seen. And for our co-host of this episode, Tumelo Candice Sello, her anchor is her faith. Now, for those of you who've been rocking with this podcast for a while, you know Candice is no stranger to our screens. She's no stranger to this platform, if anything. And at the end of that episode, she said, girl, I'm coming back. And if there's one thing she is a woman of her word. Candice is an actress, storyteller, youth leader who since her last time here has had to face visibility, fear, and reinvention head on, which makes her the perfect person to have this conversation with. So if you're ready to stop waiting for permission, heal from what's held you back, and ultimately take up your role as the leading lady in your life story, this episode is for you. Let's get into it. Guess who's back again. Candice back. It's overdue.
Wait, surname's different.
Ooh,
Friend.
put some respect on it. I'm sorry.
Us doing that.
Okay, girl. We were just saying how it's been 2 years since our last little sit down. And so much has happened.
So much,
Listen,
ma'am.
there's been a name change, but there's also been a decade change because we left the 20s.
Why are we doing that?
No,
Oh, yeah, okay.
listen.
Okay, let's deep
We're
it.
in the
Let's
30s,
go. Okay,
okay?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Has the 30s been thriving for you? I mean, listen.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
From the outside looking in, it's looking like it's been thriving. Okay?
I'll have you know. Wow, we just went straight in. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing...
How have you been?
Okay, no, you know what? Fair. Fair.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I've been good.
Yes.
And I think we're going to talk about, the journey a little bit more in this conversation. Mm-hmm. Just in that there's been a lot of ups and a lot of downs and a lot of growth. So I think for me, if I were to just say the past 2 years, my one word, it's been growth.
Definitely.
Yeah. And you?
Sanctification.
Come on.
A big word, but a big word for the incredible transformation, I think.
Yeah.
Definitely sanctification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
We'll unpack the details. We've got some time. We've got some time.
We're definitely going to unpack the details. So, but before we get into that, I just want to like kind of set the tone, set the stage because
Scary.
no, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Not scary. So we're kind of we're approaching this season from a different perspective where we're kind of, going the main character energy kind of a thing. We're not the side character of our lives, but we're the main character, right? Now, Candice, for this episode, before we get into it, I want to set the stage. We want to know you because you're not our co-host only, but you're like a co-star now. Okay. So we have a little icebreaker. First one, genre check. If your life was a movie, what genre is it giving right now? Are we in, not horror. I was about to be like, are we in horror?
Oh, let's not do that.
No.
Be rebuked.
Is it a romance? Is it a drama? Is it a thriller? Is it a spy movie? I mean,
It is a comedy.
It's a comedy.
My life is hilarious.
I love that.
Hilarious. Or maybe it's just how I'm feeling now.
Okay.
But it's
Comedy in a good way, though?
In a good way, very lighthearted.
Okay.
And I think comedy as a genre is also so nuanced because you can have those light moments, you can have those very like weighty moments, those layered moments, but like the heart of it all is really just like fun, bop. I think that's where
Comedy.
I am. That's where I am today. If you asked me yesterday, it could have been horror. No, yesterday was giving horror. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh no, it was a thriller. My life.
Is that I was like, is it giving murder mystery?
And you know what's scary? Like thrillers aren't thrilling. Like not in the thrilling that we want. Like I'm a thrill seeker, but not the kind of thrill I was experiencing.
Yeah, no, me, I'm like, it's nice to watch, but I'm not about to live that.
Thank
I can't
you.
live it.
Yes.
Even with drama. Listen, tell me the tea, but
I will
don't
cry
wanna get
for
involved.
you.
Yeah.
With you, but not my own, not my own suffering.
I'm
please.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our genre comedy. What if you had to title this season of your life? What would you title it?
Oh my gosh. Maybe because it's a slide for a sermon series that I was doing.
Okay.
180 degrees. I'd call it 180 degrees.
Wow. Okay, because it's hot.
No.
Okay, because
No. So the 180 degree line.
oh, you're talking about
Directions.
not
heat. So you know how people say, my life did a complete 360? That just means you
Yeah.
went back to the same place that you were at.
And I always make that mistake. I always say 360 instead of 180.
There's grace for that.
I love that.
There's grace for that. For me, it's
Yeah.
just 180, like 180.
Yeah.
So yeah, the film is 180 degrees.
Damn, that is so... Okay, I want to dive into that, but we have to finish this icebreaker.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so 180 degrees, comedy. This actually works with the comedy because comedy works really well with the supporting cast.
This is going somewhere,
Yeah.
yes.
So we've got our supporting casts, okay, in a comedy. So tell us, who is your best friend character? Who is your wise mentor? And I guess who's the comic relief in your life? Who plays those roles in your life?
Gosh, what do you mean? Best friend characters, it's my husband.
Yeah.
Sichaba, because he is like
Love
for
that.
real, like my real life best friend. So even if we weren't husband and wife in the comedy,
Okay.
I think just even as like co-stars, it would work out just beautifully.
Love that.
I know he's so impressed with my answer. Mntwana yam, Pinchaka. So wise, who? It would possibly be one of my pastors. Yeah, I just don't know which one. And there are a couple of mentors in my life who've just been incredible. But yeah, one of my pastors at Every Nation. That would definitely, I don't know which one. Like, I don't even want to say it because they're going to look at me and be like,
No,
oh.
it can be the council.
The council, yes, okay, there,
Yes,
the council,
yes.
and my connect group. So just as like my church community. So the church community, if we could just
Beautiful.
kind of box them up into one person, that would be.
You guys get
definitely
the
that.
part.
You guys all like you've made it. You've made
Yeah.
it all on the call sheet. And then the comic relief. What's so crazy? I can't believe the first person I thought of was my mom.
Really? I love
I don't know
that.
why. I don't know why, but possibly my mom or my siblings. Yikes on bikes.
I love that.
Yeah, mom. I just thought of mom for some strange reason. Yeah.
And then our last one is kind of in line with the theme we're going to be talking about is obviously every hero of a story is not perfect and they have their human moment, their fatal flaw, just something that they're working on. So for you, what is that right now that, you're still in progress in, that might catch you every once in a while?
Oh, and it's two things, I
Okay.
think. One is my addiction to my phone. I have a
Girl.
very unhealthy relationship with that little device. But, the Lord is helping me work through that. You know
Yeah.
why? Because I've been reading the book of Exodus, and I'm being reminded of when the Israelites were there at the Red Sea, and Moses had led them to that point after they had left Egypt. 10 plagues, guningi, there's so much going on. The Red Sea, how they're going to make it through. And then the Lord's like, what you got in your hand, Moses? He's got a staff in his hand. And I'm being reminded, I got my phone in my hand. So
Yeah.
it's more than a tool, that it is a tool of destruction. I know it can be a tool of actually just bringing just incredible things. I don't know really.
Yeah.
But I'm just starting to process that a little bit. So yeah, just a renewed relationship with my device. So just having healing from that, or just being delivered from that.
Yeah.
But the second thing is perfectionism.
I'm
I'm still working through it.
Same with both of those
Perfectionism.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you okay? Perfectionism, where do you think you're at with that?
I'm in a much better place.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of my life isn't necessarily performative. And if anything, I'm more comfortable with the fact that I'm performing for an audience of one. And that's cool. That's okay with me. And even so, to lean into the fact that I don't always have to be at my best, even in my journey of faith.
Yeah.
So, yeah, perfectionism is also a really big one.
I
But
love
like I
that,
said,
yeah.
I'm substantially in a healthier place with that than I was maybe 5 months, 6 months, possibly even a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay, so this is so great that you brought that up, because we've got some people kind of dealing with their own little
Yeah.
fatal flaws, or kind of just standing in their own way. And I mean, when you mentioned your phone addiction, I am literally on a social media phone cleanse right now, because I have to delete the apps. I had to just kind of take control of my mind,
Yeah.
and, just kind of just let go of all of those distractions and just see, okay, Bokang, who are we and whose voice actually matters? And sometimes it just actually just takes those steps to you to just eradicate all that. And then perfectionism, oh girl, I've been struggling with that like my whole entire life.
I
But
think it's almost like it's part of the factory settings of being a performer,
Yeah.
of being someone who's inclined to the creative space. That there's always this need to show up in a particular way that yields a response of applause and validation and acceptance. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know.
But no, I think I'm also in a much better place. And maybe that's tied to turning 30. Maybe that's tied to...
Girl, that's what they say. Like it comes with that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, that's great, because that actually was my next question, in that we did mention how last time we had our conversation, we were both in our late 20s, now we're in our 30s.
And 30s never look so good. Like,
Do you
understand.
get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? They're like, 30 where?
Skin looking good.
Hair, and like just the confidence. Okay, I'm actually even answering my own question, but
Yes.
for you, what has been the biggest difference between 20s Candice, late 20s, maybe when we last left off, to now being in your 30s? Not just like physically where you're at in life, but maybe just your own relationship with yourself, mentally, all of that.
Oh, so every time I get asked that question, it's always so difficult to know if it's the age that changed or just my devotion.
Okay.
Because they happen simultaneously. So
Okay.
in my late 20s, I then recommitted my life to Jesus. And at that point, especially when we first met, and, you guys watched that first episode, I was going through the process of being transformed.
Yeah.
And so because that was happening at the same time, I've come into my 30s with substantially more peace, more contentment, an attitude of just excitement for the years to come. I am so convinced that the days coming cannot even compare to the days that have passed.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how bright my future is. I don't have the words. It's just to see the faithfulness of God. And also because the big change is that partnership. I think partnership is different. A lot of my 20s were lived for the benefit of my own ego. A lot of my 20s was a sense of wanting to be justified and validated. And now that I've come into my 30s, I have partnership with the Holy Spirit. And because of that, I can't lose. I genuinely can't lose. And I'm not saying that to gas myself up into believing that I'm going to become this superstar performer that I always imagined I would be. I'm more myself than I've ever been. And this is now in my 30s. The Candice, the Tumelo that I was always meant to be, I've come into now because I'm hidden in who Christ is. And I am surrendered to his character. I'm surrendered to God's plans for me. And that is such a peaceful place to be in. I'm not at the steering wheel, thank you, Lord, because I was driving myself crazy.
Yeah.
But that's why I have an incomparable level of peace that I wish that I was in constantly pursuit of in my 20s. I think I was seeking peace. I was seeking validation. I was seeking identity and contentment. And what a beautiful thing that I now have all of these things found in one. That is the man of Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And the God. That is so good to me.
That really touches me because so much of my 20s as well, I think the goal has just been trying to achieve all these external things because you think that's what's going to fulfill you. You think that's what's going to validate you. That's what's going to make you happy in essence. But what you're also just revealing is that if all these material external things that you're chasing, none of that is going to do what needs to be done. None of that is actually going to fill that need. And it's actually, once you get out of the driver's seat and invite God in to come in on this journey with you, not only come in on the journey with you, but to completely steer the direction, take the wheel. He might take you somewhere completely different, which is where we probably find ourselves in. But that very piece, the very fruit of the things that you wanted are going to come in a way that you can only say, I could have never done this on my own. You know, I would never want to do this on my own. And why was I struggling so much? I was so tired when I could have just sit back and enjoy the fruits of my father, like the daughter that I am. Hey, boo. Hey, boo. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of daughters, though, who are maybe currently on their own journey, to continue the metaphor, right? And they're driving and it's like detour, it's pit stop, it's potholes.
You know what's the hardest?
Yeah.
Parked.
Girl, don't stress me.
Parked. Like, I'm
Don't
cool. Like, I
stress
think
me.
with the turns and the bends,
Yeah.
there's still that enjoyment in the chaos. There's something about it that's still the thrill, but the good side of the thrill. Parked.
How do you deal with parked? Because there's nothing that's going to drive me crazier than just stillness. Stillness with no evidence of we're going to be moving or moving anytime soon. We're just stuck.
Yeah. No, once you figure it out, you can tell me.
Okay.
No, you can let me know.
Oh, okay.
But that's what it is, like the dying to self. I find that in the time of the stillness and the time of my life just feeling stagnant. I don't want to go back there, Jesus. I discovered something so amazing, and it's in Luke 10, where there's that moment between Martha and Mary, and Martha's just here whiling, and Jesus is there, and she's just like, I'm doing all of these things. Lord, are you not concerned that all that Mary, are you not aware? Mary is just here at your feet, and I'm so invested in doing all of these things. And then Jesus says something which really flipped the script for me. He says that Mary has chosen the better thing. And so to know that stillness will always be the better thing, that his presence will always be the better thing, I have to delight in that. Because if it's very easy to go like very quickly in the wrong direction. I've done that myself. And so I would rather rest in the stillness of his certainty of, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, you're the surest thing that I could rest in right now, rather than going in that direction, finding myself detouring in places I had no business being in.
Yeah, and one thing about us, we've detoured, my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very scary sights. You
You
actually just never needed to be there.
I didn't.
You never needed to be there.
And now we have the scars that we could have prevented.
No, true.
But also, scars are lessons.
Yeah, and now we know better.
We do.
And that's why you're in the perfect position for our next segment, Candice.
Look at that!
All right. So we've got this thing called Listeners Dispatch, where we hear from our community what they're dealing with to get a little bit of advice or perspective on their situations, right? So we're going to play the voice notes, and then we're going to hear what your take is, you know, what you can impart, some of that wisdom, my sister.
Okay, let's hear.
I've been a creator for years, but I know I've played it safe. I keep telling myself that if I just keep my head down and put in the work, that eventually someone will discover me, give me the big break, or finally notice my talent. But deep down, I know I've been hiding. Like, I downplay my ideas at work. I don't speak up in rooms when I know I have something to say. And I even turn down opportunities because I'm scared to fail in front of people. I want more from life. Like, I'm tired of watching from the sidelines while other people live my dreams. But sometimes it feels possible, but just not possible for me.
Okay, so no, it's what's
Did I
going
send
through-
this to you?
No, my thing is like, wait, did I?
Was that
write
thing
it
myself?
Wait, what?
This is, you know, when Justin Bieber says, "Isn't it clocking to you that we're standing on business?"
Exactly.
No, this is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like it's just she's standing on my business. I don't know.
Oh wait, or even before we go into your response to the dilemma, in what ways do you feel like you've played small or downplayed yourself when it comes to life, whether it's career, whether it's, because you did say that like you do speak up for yourself, but sometimes maybe similarly to her, you're just used to hiding, or there's opportunities that you don't take because of maybe your own, I don't know, your thoughts, limiting beliefs, stuff like that. What kind of experiences have you had in your life where you're like, actually, you know what? I actually did play small there, or I did downplay myself. I took the safe option.
I once said this on the set of a production amongst my cast members when I realized how deeply insecure I was. And I said it in passing, but it was brought up at a later stage. Like, you know what you said? It resonated with me that I'm brilliant at the small things. I think I'm exceptional at the easy things, the things that I know I can anticipate the outcome. And I think when we fear the outcome, or when the outcome becomes greater than the process, then we don't even begin. And that's probably been a big thing for me, like the crippling thing that I cannot control the outcome of this investment. And so is it something worth investing in? Opposed to if like a brand reaches out to me, I can be great at that because it's your vision, it's your
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
it's also my time and my resources. But there's a partnership here, so the risk versus loss balance, doesn't weigh so much on me. But I find that something that's become quite unfortunate is I want to own stuff. I really want to be at a place in my life where I say I started something and I am continuing on that something because I'm great at starting. But and that's the motivation that I definitely need to actually see it through and to not grow weary in the process, but not even to center myself around this young lady's entire narrative. So what's her dilemma? Her dilemma is how she feels, or is she wanting a solution? Is she wanting an encouragement? What's our approach to this?
Yeah, I think
Because I find that, and it's something that I do with my husband a lot, or he does this, which I thought was so incredible. Do you want to be heard, held, or helped?
let's do each version.
Okay.
Okay. So heard, I think like
I think we've covered the heard
Yes.
that we can relate.
Yeah.
Held is also just acknowledging what the source and the root of that is, and it's a crippling and a debilitating fear.
Yeah.
A fear of being perceived. I know that's a big thing now. A fear of being seen as someone who has failed. And I find that a lot of that narrative derives from the relationship that we may have had with our primary caregiver. And perhaps certain seeds that were sown, certain seeds of fear and failure that have been sown throughout your childhood. And so if you didn't do well enough, you felt a sense of failure. If you didn't show up in a way that was expected of you, there's a great disappointment that grieves you. And you might be too young to understand that, but then it finds a home in you that anything you attempt to do, you kind of relive out that, what if I see that the long face of my parents? What if I live far beneath the expectations of everyone, expectation that everyone has of me? How do I process that? And so it's also worth looking at those aspects and going, at which point did I forsake who I always was meant to be? At which point did I make a home out of that disappointment? And then from that point, then with prayer, I will always go back to prayer being the source of helping us in our time of need, because that's what the Lord says. I'm a present help in times of trouble. One of my favorite scriptures is Hebrews 4 verse 15. And it says that we do not have a high priest who is unable to empathize with our weaknesses, because he too was tempted in every way and yet he did not sin. So therefore we can approach his throne of grace with boldness to receive grace and mercy in our time of need. And so there is grace available, but you just need to approach the throne first. And so to lay that fear at the altar, to lay those disappointments at the altar, and to believe that, Lord, if you made me and on that day you said it was good, that means everything you have for me is good. And that you are not a God that is great enough that I would live beyond who you are. You're an image bearer. So, and if you're a creator, created in the image of the greatest creator, you can only make great things. But the fear of what that great thing is and what it will cost you can sometimes be the crippling thing. And so, yes, going back to that aspect of going, at which point did fear then start to steal, right? At which point did fear start to become the thing that dictates my life? You go to that thing and you say, at this point, Lord, I lay it down. I lay it down. I don't want to, one of my good friends, Dennis Ngango, I'm sure you know him. He says to me, Eish! And he dragged me for the greatest filth.
Please.
And sometimes you need friends who are going to say this. He's like, you don't want to be the last person to find out that you were the person you were looking for. You don't want to be the last person to find out.
Damn.
That you're always wishing for a door to open, for that breakthrough, for the right producer, for that right partnership, for that right sponsorship, for that right innovator, for the right door. You don't want to be the last person to find out that everything you were looking for, that everything you were hoping for was you.
Girl and Dennis. Wow. Because, I mean, beyond what she said, like, another thing is, like, she said, like, she's always waiting to be discovered, waiting to be chosen.
Yeah.
But just on that note, you're waiting for yourself. What if you're the one that you've been waiting for all along?
True. And I would say it also looks like starting small, because maybe it's the magnitude of the calling that can be debilitating, or the magnitude of this assignment, of this vision. That it's like, this is so big. Where do I begin?
Yep.
Start small. So if it is, and that's the place that I'm in. So the Lord has just given me such a big vision of like this youth movement.
Yeah.
And I'm just starting small with my Connect group. I'm starting small. I'm like, hey guys, let's gather. Let's have a couple of snacks. Let's gather. Let's do this. And then it will grow. And he's faithful to whatever he began, that he will bring it to completion. And so that's why maybe at the beginning when I spoke about partnership, that's a privilege, that in all that I do, I know that I'm not doing it in my own strength. And perhaps that's also another thing, sis, to not do it in your own strength, because he will then, because the vision is his. The vision, if he gave you that vision, he's given you the provision for it. He will give you the sustenance for it. He will give you the fuel for it. He will give you the funds for it. And so that's something outside of praying about it and laying it before the Lord, and ask for his help.
Yeah.
Ask for his help. Ask for his aid. Ask for the strategy. Lord, if you've given me this vision, please help me be motivated in this. Help me see it through. Let the consistency not come from my own effort, because we're fallible, we're human, we're flawed. And so even when I'm not motivated, may you still give me the ability to see this through, that your name be glorified at the end of the day.
I think one thing that you said that really struck me, and
Yeah.
well, one of the many things, if we're being honest, is that when sometimes we put just such an sometimes we put such an emphasis on outcome and not process, especially as creatives, and that can also stop us, because it's like, first of all, what's actually your motivation here? Is it that you want to have the number one hit of
Sure.
the country, or do you actually want to make the music? Are you enjoying doing what you're doing? And are you doing it with God? Is it like a partnership? Are you the process? And that's something that I'm learning of whatever I do. Am I doing it for the outcome? So even with this channel and this podcast, I stopped for a while intentionally because I realized I was putting out content because I wanted specific results. I wasn't doing it because, and I was sitting across from people zoning out, being like, okay, let's go through the script so we can edit and put out the content. And it's like, okay, what are you doing actually? What are you doing? You're not enjoying this. You're not following. This isn't why God gave you this platform, you know? This isn't why you started this. This isn't your act of worship by just
Oof.
following A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
So I think that's also another thing that sometimes we just let the fear of what the outcome will be stop us. And we need to kind of decenter the importance of outcome and center the importance of actually, the actual process, the creative expression, but also honoring God with the gifts that he's given us, no matter what that outcome looks like, by just doing the thing.
I think it's also worth considering that it's very difficult to be a creative in our current context because everyone has an opinion and very few people are willing to mince their words. I find that even just creative expression has been stolen from the industry because there's this need for excellence at every point in turn. And so that very debilitating perfectionism that we speak of, a lot of people are being crushed under that when there's so much beauty in being faithful to the small moments. And so it's not about the giant leap, but it's the small acts of obedience, because I find that it's better to have done than for it to be perfect. Done is better than perfect, right? Rather, those small increments of faithfulness, those small increments. And I think it's not just for the creative industry, it's for the young person who wants to start a business, it's for that person who wants to reconcile a relationship with someone where there's been some form of dysfunction. It's really about the small steps and small acts of obedience in knowing that, yes, Lord, this is my act of worship. Lord, this is my act of trusting you. This is my act of going out on a limb and not knowing what the outcome is, and knowing that you will meet me in my faithfulness. You'll meet me in the boldness. You'll meet me in the step. And so it is that. It goes back to the perfectionism thing. But just enjoying the failure, learning to also enjoy that failure is not life-altering. I mean, in some aspects it is, but it's not life-defining. Not every failure is. I look back and I think of all the really whack auditions that I had.
Yeah.
I look at all those really quirky, strange productions that I've done, and maybe cringy things. Oh my goodness. I'm like, oh, you learned so much along the way. What a beautiful thing that you were still committed. You had no idea what you were doing, but at least you showed up.
Yeah, and what a beautiful opportunity. Like, you get to do this. Not that
You have to.
but
You
you
get
have
to.
the opportunity. So it's
Yeah.
like also when we speak about that like baby reframing, it's also sometimes just a perspective of like, oh, okay, I might not be, I don't know, selling world class paintings and exhibitions, but I get to actually express myself and do whatever I can. Maybe it's like make a little bit of a living or just share my work with people and spend my time doing this. Whereas other people just don't have that privilege, you know?
Yeah, not being married to the outcome.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one.
Not to self, not to self.
No to me.
All right. Well, actually, okay, I do have one more question here, but I don't know if you answered it, but I'm just going to ask it in any case.
Yes.
Okay, so what advice do you have for people who want to start over, have that fear, but they have their identity kind of tied to this specific dream?
Oh my goodness. Ask that question again, please. Oh my word.
Yeah,
Shoo.
especially as someone, I think for you who has also kind of pivoted in their own life and started
Largely.
over, for someone who's afraid to do that, because for so long it's been this one thing for me, I've been this one person, I've wanted this one thing. What do they do? How do they find the courage to even go and do that? Yeah, follow that call, that whisper, that heartache.
Maybe just from my own experiences was recognizing that my identity was an idol. That a lot of the decisions were hinging around and were framed around the preservation of this version of myself that I'd created. And also that version changes, that version evolves because trends evolve, certain levels of relevance evolve. Maybe you're not the flavor of the season. Maybe that version can no longer go to where you're meant to go to. And that, that was certainly my experience, that there's this Candice Modiselle, this self-proclaimed, idolized version. And so a lot of the career decisions that I made, a lot of my associations, relationships, the place that I would frequent, and not always at the expense of myself. I'll be honest enough to say that there were certain boundaries that I'd set and morals and values and principles that I did not waver from. And so there were certain compromises I was definitely not willing to make. But if this version of you is an idol, it will fall eventually. Because then there's moments where that person becomes what you worship above the true knowledge of who God created you to be and who He is. And so I've said it in many moments that this is the least Tumelo I've always been, but the most home I've always felt. It's the least Candice Modiselle ever. I mean, I have a completely new surname. I'm referred to as Tumelo Sello. But also, if I was still attached to Candice Modiselle, marriage would have never happened. Would have never happened. Because I would have to die to who Candice Modiselle always was, to fully embrace who Tumelo Sello is. And so, yeah, having to die to those versions, having to die to those expectations. It's disappointing, do not get me wrong, but we cannot outrun the faithfulness of God. So even if you do make a decision where you feel like, where to from here, you can't outrun His will. You can't outrun His faithfulness, and you can't outwork His will. You can't. It's simply not possible. You always find a way back because He works everything together for the good of those that love Him.
That's both comforting and scary, but
It is. I don't know if I
Yeah.
answered your question.
well, I don't know if you answered the question, but you gave me an answer that I needed. Hopefully the same for everyone else.
Yeah.
So then how are you navigating Tumelo Sello versus Candice Modiselle?
That's a
Is it a
good.
versus? Is it a Hannah Montana situation?
I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm very confusing. And even at church, like sometimes I'll be like, "Hi, Tumelo," and they'll be like, but I definitely know you as Candice. I don't know. I think slowly but surely, if everyone has like the freedom to evolve, I'm like raising my hand and saying, I'm going through the journey right now. So I don't know. I don't want to lose the impact and the influence that Candice has, because a lot of people have journeyed with me from my BC era, my before Christ era. And so I don't want it to be a complete detaching from who she was. And I know it sounds like they're like two completely different people, but the season has changed.
Yeah.
But it's still very much Candice Sello. Still Candice Sello. The fact that I had to drop my surname is I gladly embraced that.
Yeah.
I fully embraced it. The first principle that we learned at premarital counseling is to leave and cleave. And if I have to still introduce myself as Candice Modiselle, yes, it's still my handle because of the verification, but I'm fully Mrs. Sello. In honor of my husband, it just wouldn't be right to attach myself to a version of me that I'm not. He paid good money for it. So it's
Listen.
fine. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, on the topic of husband, love, let's play our next voice note.
Ooh.
When it comes to relationships, I feel like I've done everything right. I've been patient, supportive, stayed in my lane, but I keep ending up waiting for someone to like finally see me and choose me. Honestly, sometimes it feels like I'm invisible or like I'm not worth the big romance that I want. And as the years go by, even wanting that starts to feel silly and unrealistic. How do you keep the hope for love alive when you have no evidence of that being a possibility for you? And when settling or, I guess, compromising seems like the more realistic or adult choice to make?
Sure. Do we know how old this person is?
Let's assume late 20s, early 30s.
Late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
I know that when it comes to relationships and marriage, I speak from a position of privilege because I have seen what God can do. I'm on the other side of his faithfulness. And it's not to say that he wasn't throughout the journey, but as someone who knows the depths of compromise, it is painful. It is so painful to be at that place where, and I'll be honest enough to say that there was a time I was convinced that marriage was not for me.
Really?
Absolutely. Probably maybe a year or two before I met Chaba. Or maybe a couple, no, yeah, 20, a year. And probably the early parts of 2022. And him and I started dating late 2022. So I was just like, this thing, marriage, also because there was this pattern of dating the same kind of person. One, non-believers. No shade, no tea.
No shade on tea, but
My pastor
honey.
said, your problem is you dating people you should be discipling. But we're neither here nor there. Anyway, I
Okay.
can change him. Says, see,
Oh,
is he a diaper? Girl.
you're being a bit loud.
No,
in my
but no,
ear.
and I'm speaking to the former me. I'm not speaking to anyone who might be experiencing that. But I was in my enthusiasm, being very distracted from my own brokenness, that I was fixated on trying to heal someone else's. Very, very tough season to have been in. But by the mighty grace of God, again, I'm in the position that I am currently in. And it hurts me that there are women who feel like, I've been on this purity journey, or I've been on the seeking journey, or I've been faithful, I've been diligent, I've been stewarding these gifts that you've been giving me. I'm a Proverbs 31, I'm ideal. I've come to know that marriage is a calling of a covenant. It's not the next thing, it's the best thing. And some people assume that it's the next step after being faithful. I've been faithful, and so there's a transactional relationship that we'll have with God, that I've been doing all of these things, and so the only right response,
I must be rewarded.
I must be rewarded, the only just response is marriage. And that's why I'm challenged enough to know that through our marriage, we're breaking generational curses. I'm called into marriage. We're called into marriage. We're called into companionship. And his heart was at the right place, and so was mine. But it's not to digress too far from the space that she's in. My recommendation, very sincerely, is to fall in love, one, with your own life, but to also invest in the companionship that comes with friendship and the intimacy that comes with friendship. And not as a form of distracting you, but a lot of the things that we're looking for, we can still find in good friendships. We can still find in healthy communities. And I know I say this from a position of privilege, but before Chaba even came into the picture, I was building really good friendships that I cherish right now, that these are the people that I can call about and call about anything. Like, these are the people that I can laugh with, I can cry, anything that is unfolding in my life. I know that I have safe landings. And so that really is my recommendation to someone who's saying, okay, I'm waiting, so what do I do now? Love anyway.
Yeah.
Love anyway. Your love and the love that you feel you have for this partner will find its home, but it also has many homes. It can have a home in sisterhood. It can evolve in different spaces of serving. Please, at your earliest convenience, find spaces to serve. And I'm not saying in the church community only, but there's so many spaces that need hands, that need hearts, that need presence. So fall in love with those things, of just being less, the word's not obsessed, less
Fixated.
less invested.
Invested.
Less invested in this romantic relationship, because I assure you, I got married at 31. At 31, I got married. But the larger part of my 20s was compromise upon compromise, heartbreak, putting myself on a clearance rack. It was really just such an unfortunate series of decisions that I could have honestly avoided if I just invested in the other ways of being intentional about loving others.
I love that. And I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. So on the opposite end, where you sitting in the fruit, honey, I'm like right there with the girls. I'm like, I'm not speaking from a place of privilege.
And it's nice.
It's so nice when you just decide, like, honestly, instead of waiting to be chosen, which I feel like for a lot of women, that's just how we've been raised, we've been reared. There's going to be this knight in shining armor, or your happy ending is guaranteed, especially if you present in these specific ways. If you do this, then you almost feel like, no, but I am entitled to my person because I've done this, I've checked the boxes, what's going on? But instead of waiting to be chosen, if you choose yourself and, like you said, love anyway, build a life you love. That
Like you say, like romanticizing your life. Yeah.
And you've got your friends, you've got your girls, you've got like, there's just so many other outlets that you can just experience the fullness of life, because you think that you're going to be fulfilled when this thing happens and when it comes. But the way I kind of picture it is that the romantic partner will be like a part of this ecosystem that I have, you know, and it's not any less and any more, but I can't live my life on pause waiting for this person that, will they come, won't they come? If he doesn't come, so now's my life going to be just meaningless, and me sitting like a skeleton waiting for the rest of my life.
Literally.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, like as a wife, your role is to be a helper, right? And it's not to minimize your position, to assume that the only thing you will be is of aid to this person. So there's always this narrative of the damsel in distress who then becomes saved. Well, who then is saved by this man, like the knight in shining armor, and then she loses her autonomy, she loses her calling, the assignment, and now is lost in the midst of this beautiful love story. I don't think if I had not gone through the necessary character change and pruning, I probably would have been an unpleasant wife. Not unpleasant, and let me not say unpleasant, let me give myself a little more grace. But I probably would have mishandled or not appropriately approached the throne of the assignment with the right heart, the right perspective, and the right attitude. I think I would have. It was always a fairy tale. Like relationships were always about fairy tales for me, because I never grew up with that image. I never grew up with marriage around me. I never saw this image of a husband and a wife. And so I derived my idea of being a wife from Hollywood cinema, a couple of films, theater productions and stories, and it was all this beautiful fictional world of just being swept off of my feet and falling in love with this person. So I lived my life with a script, hoping I could cast the right man for it. And it's so disappointing, because you meet this person and he doesn't fulfill that expectation, but it's a contract that you signed him up for that he never agreed to. And that happens a lot, that it's like, be all of these things, and then he's not, and you're just like, no. So it's also just holding ourselves accountable, also for not the standards that we set, but the expectations that we also don't get to communicate, or don't have the maturity because we haven't been pruned enough, or we're not malleable enough to undergo the necessary character change or transformation that's required.
Going back to the version of you, or the younger version of you, that found herself in these kind of cycles of being with the same man, and obviously not being the woman that you are today. Did you have any experiences of where you maybe had shrunk yourself in relationships and dating in order to like kind of fit a mold, or in order to hopefully, let that script play out, or like kind of just did yourself a disservice? Yeah. Did you have any of those experiences?
Before as a child, it's all I ever did. It's all I ever did.
way?
I was such a shapeshifter
Where?
in all of my relationships. So if what's fitted for him is the cool girl, I'll be the cool girl. If he needs someone who's a little more humble and meek, I can be that, because I can. I'm every woman. It's all in me. I can do all of it, right? Right? But I don't think I was ever my most honest, most authentic self. And I find that in a lot of the relationships, the idea of me was far more fulfilling than the reality of who I was.
To you or to them?
To them.
Oh.
To them. The idea of maybe my physicality, I don't know. The idea of I'm just going to be just this sweet little plaything, a toy, a trophy. But then I'm the person who says that's unacceptable. I'm the woman who says, you actually can't treat me like that. I'm the woman who has a voice and who's very unapologetic about it. And that then there were also times where I was in relationships where my voice shook, and then my voice shrunk. And then I'd lost my voice completely. And that was one of the most heartbreaking relationships I'd ever been in. It was very emotionally abusive. And so then I had to rediscover my voice. Went back to therapy. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to share my standards and expectations anymore, because I'm afraid that the love will go, but I'm afraid that I will be punished for it too. I'll be punished for my expectations. I'll be punished for having standards. I'll be punished for setting boundaries, for setting hard boundaries. My morals will be the bane of this relationship's existence. And so then I was like, okay, back to being the blow up doll. Back to being the blow up doll. And then, yeah, then finally I got into one relationship where I was just like, Ndota, hey, Abuti, you're going to talk to me like what now? No ways. No, we're not going to do that. You actually are not going to set this expectation and then just make me feel and gaslight me on a public platform. That is my life. We're not going to do that. So I'm grateful that I was able to experience relationships where I could say no. And I would still do it respectfully. I've never raised my voice at a partner, but with a level of assertion. It's scary for a man to be with a woman who's assertive and to know with a definitive confidence that you actually are not going to treat me like that. And one of my very good friends says, I love, but I believe in leaving. Correction. She says, I believe in love, but I believe in leaving.
Yep.
And that's what I did. You know, when people say, you're gonna leave every man that cheats on you. Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to
Yes.
happen.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you're married, but I ain't leaving no man. But those thoughts also don't cross my mind. That's how healthy our relationship is. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so I really want to know from your experience what the difference is between healthy compromise and, my sister, if you're just settling at the end of the day.
Wow. Okay. The difference between compromise and settling. I don't know if you'll ever know, because I know that there's people who, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to answer this question. This is so hard. What do you think? How do you perceive it?
Well, as a professional in never settling and being perpetually single as a result, I think, and we were having this conversation earlier, and one thing that Tseretso had shared that I definitely echo is that I think there's a difference between meeting someone in the middle and then completely abandoning or negating yourself or your own values just for just to have someone, just to be able to say that I got picked, I got chosen, or I have this thing, I have this title. But if that comes at the expense of you, if that comes at the expense of your essence, and at the end of the day, it's not satisfying. Like, you can smell something when it's rotten, even if it's dressed up pretty.
Yeah.
You know? So I think for me, one, you need to know yourself, have such a strong relationship with yourself, but also with God, realizing that, like, honestly, this is a loving Father, and you see now me, I'm also this Christian, but He's a loving Father, and He wants the best for me. If this is clearly not my best, or not His best, then what am I doing here? Whereas, but also understanding that I'm not a perfect person, right? And we're coming together to create this union as a unit, and that requires me to requires me to evolve and to learn and to step up to a plate and play a different role than I had in my singleness.
Yeah.
And pruning is inevitable there. I'm gonna have to let go.
Sure.
Otherwise, we can't walk together. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
might as well just, I don't know, have a lap dog or whatever, you know?
Exactly.
So I think it's a push and pull, but ultimately knowing that I'm not betraying myself. I'm not betraying my boundaries, my values, who I am, and my worth. And that starts with knowing that first. So I think that's just how I would approach it, or how I have approached it, where I'm just like, this doesn't feel good and this isn't good. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Sure. I think, and I'm going to make it biblical. It's what I do. We're
Just
here
do
now.
it,
We're
yeah.
here now. Even in friendship and fellowship, your eternity must be important to me.
Okay.
So your Christ-likeness and your character being you being able to emulate the character of Christ must be important to me. And I say this even for friendships. So if anything that I do in your life has you wavering from Christ being the standard, then I am a red flag to your life. And I think that should even be considered in the space of marriage. That should be considered in the space of relationship. That, oh my gosh, I'm just seeing just the image of the spotless bride, right? And that Christ is coming back for his spotless bride, even within your relationship. And I'm not saying it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we have the capacity to perfect one another. But as we are working towards, it's like this triangle. So our aim is to always work towards God. And so if we're both walking and so if we're both walking and working towards Christ being the ultimate standard for us, the beautiful thing is that we will still get closer to one another. If it's always us towards one another, we miss him. If it's one in this direction and another one in that direction, we miss each other. And one is closer to him, but one is missing the mark.
Yeah.
And so I find that even in relationships, that if the standard is Christ, if the standard is his character, then I believe when you make a decision in that relationship that this is what we're aiming towards, then I'd like to believe that it won't fail. And maybe I'm too hopeful in that way. But sometimes we create our own standards, assuming that, this is what it means to be good to you. This is what it means to... Is Christ the standard? Is pleasing him the standard? Is honoring you the standard for me? Not just making you happy, but to honor you as a human being and to honor you as a child of God. That those are things that we always need to consider. And if anything is compromising that, especially in the context of relationship, if someone's causing you to sin, bro, like if someone is putting their flesh above your eternity, you must be concerned, because do they really care about you? Like for real. And I know it's a hard question, it's a hard conversation to have, but sometimes you just really need to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so for our closing credits, we have reached the end of this episode, but also the end of our metaphorical movie, right? So I know. What is the name of our movie again?
180 degrees.
180 degrees, not the heat,
No, not the heat.
but the direction.
Just a switch up.
Just a switch up.
Flip the script.
For our final scene, credits are rolling, okay?
Yes.
On this conversation, but let's also say just like the chapter that when you entered this chapter to right now, right? What is the narrator, what is the final line that the narrator would say to close up the scene?
Why?
I don't know. Is that what the narrator says? Why?
No.
Don't overthink
No,
it.
the first thing that came to...
Yes, what is that? What is it?
The first thing that came to mind was, well done, my good and faithful servant.
That is so you. Yes.
Well done.
Period. Because the narrator of your life is God at the end of
Yeah.
the day. He's the author. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly how it ends.
Well done, my good and faithful servant.
And then, some particular films, like
Yes.
Marvel. I don't know if you even watched those superhero
Oh,
ones.
yeah.
But
Then boom.
credit roll, but then there's a post-credit scene, a little teaser for, what's next in the... If your post-credit scene were to pop up, the audience, we're lingering a little bit longer.
Yeah.
What are we seeing?
A baby bump. In the name of Jesus.
Amen.
I just feel like it's the only thing that makes sense. Come on.
That's all you're going to be seeing on the screen. And
Yeah.
a bun in the oven.
Bun in the oven.
Period.
And also, it could be anything. I could be birthing just about anything. It doesn't have to be a
You
human
could be
being.
pregnant with something else. Who knows?
Please don't misconstrue this and feel like I just spilled the tea.
We got the exclusive,
You got the
honey.
exclusive. Do you really think I would reveal it like that?
2026.
Loading.
Baby Stella.
2025 was the year of pregnancy. What do you even mean?
Hey.
What do you guys even mean?
Yeah,
But yes, so
yeah.
I think that would be that. It would be
Okay.
that. Also, because it was a vision that I had, I saw, in my prayer time, I saw this beautiful building and then I saw this sold sign. So I think it would be that.
Love.
Sold.
Sold.
Could be a house, could be a building, could be an establishment. I don't know. Just see this panning out of this sold sign.
My sister, we will be tuned in.
Oh, you're too sang here.
Help
Help me!
Oh, thanks so much, Ken.
Thank you.
Let's make the next one not 2 years from now, please.
Please, because I feel like I keep getting more serious with each one. Like, yo,
Yeah.
ke also motona. I want to laugh in the next one. Did we laugh in this one? We laughed.
We did. No,
We
this
laughed
was
at our
good.
pain.
This was good. With us, it's always serious.
It
I'm
is.
used to it now.